generic slow-mo action, I guess, or knockoff Star Wars. Anyway, hey everybody, this is Retrokid Reviews doing my review, one from memory and one from just watching last week. Rebel Moons Parts 1 and 2, the Child of Fire and Scargiver. Wow, I'm like coming off of not that much sleeping yet. Somehow I remember the titles off the top of my head. I guess. But before we get to that, I want to do some quick updates with RT, speaking of former WB alumni. Getting to the thinking cap here of old RT stuff. The final stream happened last night of this recording. The VOD should be up, so cards to that, if anything else. Also, go to the links below for pretty much all the archival links. One of them, obviously, awesomely called Archive of Pimps. Good nod to Ray, if anything. Check out his streaming. Long story short, there. I don't know if I mentioned it with Resident Evil views the last couple of games back, so I don't know. That all being said, it was emotional. It really was with that stream. You could definitely tell the room has been very diametrically opposed. I think outside they were having a cookout, just send off in higher spirits than I think it was having to talk about their time on RT for not just core, not just for whatever era of the company you guys probably knew it as. Just a lot of staff showed up, a lot of everybody showed up, a lot of Bernie, which is cool. The only take back was no Jeff, no Michael, not a huge majority of I think what was it Achievement Hunter and stuff like that. Big takeaway. Positive of the takeaway is I think the corporate guy they had for RB not RV what was it WB basically. I think his name was Orban Levin. He was there the last time they had to announce the whole shutdown. He had a lot of corporate speak. You could tell he was the one guy out of the whole place that probably had a place lined up afterwards. Speaking of people who had stuff lined up afterwards, Ruby is technically getting their Volume 10, maybe, maybe not. They're still looking into investors, but people are interested. People are actually going to want to buy, so even if it happens, whether or not, if you saw my community post this week, next week I am going to try my best to finish the second half of the Ruby crossover with Justice League, so there will be figure forms for that, so I'll try my best to stay in character as long as I can. I don't know if I'm going to do a short or when the official day happens, when Stage 5 is finally locked up. I'll probably just do my closing thoughts, either as a short or for a video along those lines. But for right now, I think I've been saying this the last couple of weeks. I'm very happy for what RVB, Ruby, and basically Orchard Teeth as a whole was. I don't know. I'll have some closing thoughts about like the last 4 years, probably in either the Ruby video next week or probably when Red vs. Blue's final season drops later next month. So I'll let you know by then. So, with that out of the way, and back to whatever the hell Zack Snyder was thinking in these last two movies, the Rebel Moon series. Now I would think last time I think I talked about post Justice League era Snyder stuff. I think was Army of Dead. Go to the cards if I did that review. And yeah, he's definitely gonna be a mainstay for Netflix for now, because for some reason, not only they're not gonna show numbers, I think next year of what was viewership for the whole thing. So yay, back to just second guessing. And it's not just me. Probably a lot of professionals are probably pissed about this too. I think Charts with Dan are thinking the same thing too. I think he had to report that. I don't know. I'll have his new video out. I think when this week's charts, just to let you know in case that's the thing there. He's got the streaming charts out by now. That also being said, what do I think of this movie? Well, these two parts of this new franchise he's trying to make. Well, you can definitely tell why Disney said no to this project, because long story short, in a galaxy far, far away, hey to Jacob Olsen fans, by the way, and rest in awesomeness that is fun analysis. We're talking about past RT and past Warner Bros. Employees. Yeah, the whole thing about Rebel Moon was supposed to be essentially a Star Wars project, so I don't know. It sounds like it was a little bit overpitched, in my opinion, honestly. So with that being said, what do you get with this plot? The plot of this is basically Seven Samurai, but with extra steps, essentially. Now, the only reason why I stuck it out going into part two for this review is mainly because I don't know, maybe the second half would be most of the majority of his action that has been well associated since like his 300 days to even like his Watchmen days. Since this is probably the only time I get to talk about this guy's career publicly, I think recently. 300 I could take it or leave it, honestly. I could see why there was a lot of "this is my Roman Empire" memes from TikTok kind of sprawled from. And speaking as a guy in his 30s who grew up watching that movie, not really my Roman Empire. Not I don't get the meme. I don't get like the whole thing. It sounds like toxic guyhood kind of shit. So who knows? For Watchmen though, I could definitely see why a lot of people were still ruffling their feathers over the last couple of years over the ending not being exactly from the book, and then the show right after try to like at least be like the comic. That also has a franchise of its own like problems and shortcomings. So I'll probably have that for another day in case like DC wants to do another book, which could happen, may not. Who never know? Honestly, who knows? After what was it, Doomsday Clock? After if anything, 4 years after this point. So anyway, and I already talked about, like I said, with my thoughts on zombie stuff. I think when Army of Dead with the previous Dead franchise, zombie franchise, the his remake of Dawn of the Dead, um, shocking at the time when I was a kid. Now looking back as an adult, a lot of post 9/11 isms. In case if that's your big turnoff for old 2000s movies, I completely understand if anything else. So where am I now after all these years with Rebel Moon? Much like the Elite 2.0, it's very generic, very cost-cutty, and his attempt at trying to figure out how the volume works for a guy that's been used to doing volume level kind of like green screening and blue screening after so many years of his career. The plot itself, like I said, is just Samurai with extra steps. However, for Seville Vitella, if I got her name right, you can tell that this lady's in her 40s because she's kind of fighting like she's still, a lot of the fight scenes make her look like she's still fighting in her 20s. It could be stunt acting and decent, like, I don't know, blue screen makeups, if anything else. But other than that, the only thing that made me, I guess, feel like the villains are samey is that I guess if this was if this was a Star Wars goal with me on this, I guess he would have focused more on the Empire side of things instead of the Resistance he was trying to build for that story. So mainly because on the second half, you get basically everyone's backstory before the kickoff to their third act. So already this kind of gives me the vibe of, okay, this really could have just been 2.5 hours with both of these movies back like stitched together essentially. So with that having said, we're back to the whole like Justice League debate of like, did this really need to be 4 hours? Did you need the whole cut? Were you just being bitter? And I just didn't want to do that because for all intents and purposes, Snyder is probably a normal person, or as myself and probably a few people like to call him, just a cinematographer that got really, really damn lucky because his cinematography's fine if it was the last couple of years before the 2020s. So I don't know, you miles may vary there. The one thing Snyder was known for was his slow-mos, kind of underutilized in part one, overly utilized in part two. Mainly of the grain shots that you probably been hearing online lately. For anyone who was daring enough to meme anything of part two out on the Scargiver's end. And another thing I think I mentioned in my socials leading up to this review is how did this get a SH Figure Awards deal? Probably by the time this video drops, I'll probably have an answer if I can get any of those figures as an update review, if anything else. I might have mentioned this in my roundup for the end of the month of reviews. Go to that and the final cards. So yeah, being generic and non-spoilery, and sporadic with the spoilers, mainly because it's really unforgettable, with both parts also. I feel like part one was way longer of a slog than part two, because part two kind of saved all the action set pieces. And, yeah, for the actors themselves, I think the only one out of the crew I think was the most engaging was John Manhatsu's war general that ended up being kind of like the closest thing to what he was aiming for in like a Forgotten Warrior kind of thing, if we're going with the Seven Samurai tropes. And, yeah, I don't know. After that, like I said, Sofia Boutella is doing the best of what she could as I guess, the true main lead of the whole thing, and it makes sense that he would be focusing on truly, action actresses, after I guess in his way to remember his daughter. For those that don't know, she tragically took her life years ago in the lead up to the Snyder Cut. He honored the Snyder Cut in his daughter's memory. Don't know if I ever mentioned it with my Snyder Cut review back then. Again, follow my sub to my channel and look up my review on that as well. It will be mostly a Batman family focused review. It will be probably a figure form. And the fact that I'm remembering figure form related content 3 years after the fact is kind of rare for this channel, so take that with what it is, I guess. So, overall rating. I'm going to just do both as the same movie, mainly because that's probably what's going to happen next. Knowing Zack Snyder, he's probably going to find a way to pre-bake a Snyder cut out of this. That's also been in the rumor mill for the longest time. Until this week, where he basically announced, I forgot where exactly, maybe on Deadline or wherever. I'll probably leave a link in the description, that he's probably planning to do 6 more of this. So much like him and James Cameron, they made OC franchises of their own that nobody wants, but somehow is going to make 4 more of those. Yes, this is going to be essentially his Avatar. So who knows if it happens? Who knows if it's true? Please know if it is true. Ultimate rating of the whole thing, 6 out of 10. Again, this is combining both, and the reason why it's got the lowest 6 in my opinion is mainly because of the stunts and mainly because the action on the second half basically saved what could have been a salvageable, okay movie to watch in the background on like a normal like weekend off kind of thing, if anything else. Like I said, I will be probably doing an update review if I get any of the SH Figure Wars of this cast. I will be literally kicking myself or laughing more or less if I got Anthony Hopkins' robot character, I think also named James. So, speaking of one James to another, he got the shortest end of backstory. I probably didn't even get that much of a flashback of him being, like, abused by, like, the new Empire kind of stuff. Also, I didn't get to talk about the villains of this, because the guy that played Ajax in Deadpool was the main villain in this. He's being smarmy than usual since, like, his Battle Angel Alita days. Also, because you can tell he's trying to do word I can't say on Google anymore, a franchise vibes, basically, long story short there. So with that all being said, and more stuff I probably can't say anymore on this platform, what did you think of both parts of the Rebel Moon movies? Do you think Snyder is justified to make his own franchise post Justice League? I do agree, but maybe within reason, maybe with like a smaller scale action series, maybe like an action thriller could probably get him some good graces in my opinion, but that's just me. Could he continue to do movies of his own volition? Yes, please. Should he make his own Snyder cut of this? No, honestly. And more of those answers and questions down in the comments down below. And with that all being said, take care, subscribe, and one last time for the RT related content here earlier in this video, I will be leaving the archival links and the VOD for the final stream for Rooster Teeth, so in case you guys want to see the last 21 years of content, those links will be down below as well. So with that all being said, and until my next week's review for my update review for Justice League and Ruby Monsters and Huntsmen, or Heroes and Huntsmen, the 2-part crossover they did, I'm Retrokid Reviews saying, what was the lore for Anthony Hopkins' robot? No, seriously. Anyway, end cards coming up here. Previous review here. Shorts playlist for X-Men 97 and Critical Role. I think I said this in my previous this week's short for X-Men 97. The next 3 weeks is going to be on a pause, mainly because I want to wait for the full 3-part finale. So that will be mostly back to regular scheduled Critical Role content. And also, that also being said, take care, subscribe, and no, seriously, what is the lore for that robot, Zack Snyder? What was that? Seriously.